Restrictions of the Geneva Convention. What is the Geneva Convention? The Geneva Convention comprises of 4 treaties and 3 additional protocols that establish the standards of international law and the humanitarian treatment of war. The Geneva Conventions extensively define the basic wartime rights of prisoners, civil and military, establish protections for the wounded, and establish protections for the civilians in and around a war zone. The Geneva Convention also defines the rights and protections afforded to non-combatants. Yet because the Geneva Conventions are about people in war, the articles do not address warfare proper, the use of weapons of war, which is the subject of the Hague Conventions and Biochemical Warfare Geneva Protocol. What countries follow the Geneva Convention? A total of 196 countries have agreed and signed the convention, although some of the treaties in the convention do not apply to their country directly because they do not possess nuclear weapons or chemical weapons, for example. Nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. Convention and prohibitions or restrictions on the use of certain conventional weapons which may be deemed to be excessively injurious or have indiscriminate effects. The aim of the convention and its protocol is to provide new rules for the protection of military personnel, and particularly civilians and civilian objects, from injury or attack under various conditions by means of fragments that cannot be readily detected in the human body by X-rays. Human rights of prisoners of war. They must not be compelled to give any information other than their name, age, rank, and service number. They must not be deprived of money or valuables without a receipt. They must not be given individual privileges other than for reasons of health, sex, or military rank or professional qualifications. They must not be held in close confinement except for breaches of the law, although their liberty can be restricted for security reasons. And finally, they must not be compelled to do military work, nor work which is dangerous, unhealthy, or degrading. Why does Al-Qaeda not follow the Geneva Convention? In February of 2002, President Bush determined that Al-Qaeda terrorists were not prisoners of war under the treaty known as the Third Geneva Convention. Al-Qaeda could not be a party to the convention because it is not a state. The president also determined that while the Taliban, Al-Qaeda's collaborators, were covered by the treaty, they did not qualify as prisoners of war under the terms of the treaty. It stipulates that combatants must distinguish themselves from the civilian population, which the Taliban clearly did not. In conclusion, the conventions are long and complicated, but they are essentially a series of do's and don'ts to apply during conflict to protect vulnerable and defenseless individuals. Their underlying principles can be simply stated: the human dignity of all individuals must be respected at all times. Everything possible must be done without any kind of discrimination to reduce the suffering of people who have been put out of action by sickness, wounds, or captivity, whether or not they have taken part in the conflict. Sometimes it is better to lose and do the right thing than to win and do the wrong thing. Tony Blair.